we're on. Welcome to your last podcast. I'm your host, Rob Gardner, and today my guest is Warriors MC Hywel Chaplin.
Oh, cheers for having me, Rob.
No problem.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. You're likely to be the first guest I got, mate. So you'll be the first one on this podcast. So that's something to add to the
add to the list.
The accolades.
Stick it on the CV.
Yeah. So I do want to touch on obviously your journey becoming an MC, but first I just want to ask how this last year has been, the pandemic, because obviously you've still been able to like do what you love, because fortunately Cage Warriors have still been able to put on professional productions, and you still get the witness elite fighters fight. Obviously they've done their trilogy shows and that over this last year during the pandemic. So how's that been? Have you been able to live like the bubble life and stuff with the organization?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head really at the start. We're like I felt so fortunate to be able to continue doing something that I love when the world kind of capitulating around us. So at least it felt like that for a little bit, didn't it? But yeah, when we turn up, we've had to bubble up and take COVID tests, and kind of we're not allowed outside the venue, or all the standard procedures that you see at all the other major sporting events. Because obviously the events are government approved, so they got that like government stamp of approval. So yeah, we've had to follow all those guidelines that include like kind of stick in your bubble. You know, don't walk out the front doors of the hotel, go and get a chocolate bar, because you won't be doing the next show. But it's worked well. They've been really professional with the Cage Warriors, and they've looked after us all. So yeah, we've just been really fortunate to be able to do what we love doing.
What's it been like in between the events? Because obviously in the build up to the events and like on fight week, you're in that bubble, but like obviously going back home to your personal life, have you felt like you have to be extra cautious again because you're then gonna go off to work, even though work is a safe environment? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, so I guess the last year has made everyone be cautious anyway, isn't it? You know, you look at kind of the steps we've all been told to take and stuff. Everyone's had to be cautious regardless. So I can't say I've been as cautious as I would have been anyway, you know. So yeah, I mean, I've just been living my life, I guess, the same as everyone else has, with all these kind of restrictions impinging on it between events, and just been keeping as safe as I can anyway.
And how has the events and the experience been with no crowd?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. Obviously, like the first event, you really kind of noticed the lack of atmosphere. The one event, lack of atmosphere is the wrong word. There's always an atmosphere because there's people there and people create an atmosphere, right? Like, you have big fight feelings and you have those big fight feels, and you still get that even with no audience, because if there's people there watching a fight, like something just changes in the air, like it alters, and you still get those big fight feelings. But the one moment I always go back to, and I always think that is almost criminal, is the fact that when I announced Paddy Pimblett in Manchester, there was no audience to receive him. So like, you say the words Paddy Pimblett, and you, especially in Manchester, being so close to Liverpool, like the roof should have been blown off with thousands of Scousers just screaming as soon as the word Paddy left my lips. But as it was, there was no crowd, and it was weird. Like, his music filled the arena, but kind of there wasn't that follow up, that pop from the crowd, and that really hit home. That showed me how different the times were. But yeah,
for me, watching, even though like you're there, still one of the best seats in the but like watching different events, UFC, Cage Warriors and stuff with no crowd, the big thing was urine strikes landed. Urine strikes landed. And don't get me wrong, like I know, like I witnessed like pro boys spar and that, and they do go pretty hard, but it is different when under the lights, obviously, goes without saying. So then you're in them shots at full tilt when they're trying to knock each other's heads off. Like that was of course
it's different. I mean, obviously when you're sparring, even when professional boys are sparring, you're never looking to finish your sparring partner. Like
no, exactly.
You've got a finite amount of them. Do you know what I mean? You break all your toys, you got nothing to play with. So
I like that.
You know, like you got 10 sparring partners. You don't want to knock out all 10 of them and stick them in a hospital because you're not going to gain anything from that either. So the pro boys they take an inch off, they pick their shots.
Yeah.
And, whereas obviously in a fight, it's a different scenario. You're throwing shots to end fights. You do those bigger punches. For me, one of the most interesting aspects is listening to the corner teams. I find that really interesting, especially because I'm usually sat near a corner team. And obviously the other one is the opposite side of the octagon from me. So being able to hear both corner teams and how they perceive the performance of their fighters or like how they coach their fighters is interesting. Kind of, you almost go into that kind of kind of like a bit of a sports psychiatrist realm, if you will, in terms of showing them other, when you move away from the technical things the coaches are calling for, is you hear an element of that sports psychology when you hear the things that certain cornermen are saying and how they perceive things to be going, and it's interesting from a selfish point of view, I suppose. Yeah.
Oh no, it's definitely interesting. And I think even before like the pandemic and I mean this last year and a bit, big events, they've been uploading like the corner work in between rounds of big events, now hearing what the corner's saying and that. It's great now that as fans as well, we get that insight where you can hear the corners mic'd up, what they're saying to fighters in between rounds. And then I do wonder if a cool feature going forward is whether or not they'll give a feature, not live, but afterwards watching it back, where you could take the crowd noise out so you could hear the sound of some of them punches and stuff, like, because of the experience that fans have got since. Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't want to be the man given the task of editing that sound away, because it sounds like a terrible job. But it'd be interesting, definitely.
Yeah, because I was remembering the corner fight. They didn't just have the corner cam between rounds, but they also had like Khabib's corner camera constantly rolling as things was unfolding, like, in the intensity, and that was something special to watch back, like, and that. So yeah, it is great though. Like, they are literally, it is almost access all areas and stuff, like. But also going back to them trilogy events, they was also at York Hall as well, which is a historic venue for boxing. But it's quite ironic that as MMA grows and as each promotion grows, that you do an event in an historic arena like that, and it's during a pandemic with no fans, because York Hall is known for its close, intense atmosphere, isn't it?
It is, it is. I mean, just to have an event at York Hall is iconic anyway.
Absolutely.
I was speaking to Chris Fields about this before the I think it was the second trilogy show. Was it the second trilogy? I think it was the second trilogy show, but I think it was the first trilogy that happened at the York Hall. Anyway, the first trilogy show that happened at York Hall. I was speaking to Chris Fields about it, and we were saying that, like, the York Hall has a list of a who's who in terms of boxing that's fought there. Like, so many names throughout the sport of boxing are fought there, and it's the history wrapped up in the venue is huge. I think even the Cray twins fought there back in the day.
I was just going to say, it's even got connections with like local legends and all that stuff as well.
So I mean, just to be stepping foot in somewhere like that, and it's like, if those walls could speak, they'd have a crazy story to tell. But just to kind of be able to watch an event and be a part of an event in a historic venue like that was awesome in itself. And hopefully at some point it'll be made all that much sweeter when we can have fans back.
And if they got fighters with a fan base of Paddy or something, they're going to need some extra security, because they're going to rip the roof off our place, because it's only a small building in it. Do you know what I mean? It's for you'd think a smaller venue, less logistical headaches, but I imagine it'll be, if you get a big ticket seller there, it'd be more of a logistical headache, I imagine. Like,
I don't envy the people on logistics.
No, not at all. But no, that's so what was the last event you done with fans then, H? Would it have been 113 before? Was it the event before the trilogies? Would it have been?
Oh, I was about to say 112. It would either been 112 or 113. Maybe it was 113. Maybe it was. It was either 112 or 113. It was definitely in Manchester.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely Manchester. And that was weird because it was kind of it was the whole COVID situation, which is bubbling up there.
That's what I was just going to get to.
No one really knew what was going on, and that was it. I mean, it was at the time it was still an event with fans, and but outside that event there were these whispers of X, Y, and Z going to happen, and it was crazy. But yeah, that was the last event with fans.
Yeah, it's mad how so much has happened in that time. Like, it's been a year and a bit, and there's been a lot of things not just happening with the promotion you're affiliated with the sport as well. It's just crazy. So we've touched on recent times. So that's I'd like to go back to like your involvement with the sport, and then how you came to become the MC you are today. Really, if you don't mind.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So and I started properly, like started martial arts. I went to a kung fu class when I was 6. Down Llanelleaeth Rugby Club. I'm sure it was in Llanelleaeth Rugby Club. Yeah, down Llan Rugby Club. And after about a year, I think it turned out the instructor was like one of those. He's like a fake. I think it was like, I could be wrong. I'm sure he was like a fake black belt in kung fu or something like that. It was something weird. But the guy insisted on being called Degar. I can remember that. And anyway, I got a feeling that he was like a fake black belt. So I went there with one of my friends from school. I was like 6 at the time, and then moved on to another class run by a guy called Darryl Cross, who was a very good kung fu practitioner. So I did that for a good few years up until I was about 12, and then you get a comp and you don't fancy doing it anymore. I just stopped, and that was it. And I never really kind of thought about martial arts until and I was being friendly all through like primary school with Jack Shaw, and then when his dad Shaky or Richard Shaw opened up the gym, I kind of thought, maybe I'll give it a go. And eventually I went down and gave it a try, and that was it. I kind of fell in love with the sport from day one. Like, absolutely loved it, still do, always have, always followed it since. That was it. I started training in that little unit in industrial estate in Llanelleaeth, and then moved up to the gym in Blaenau. And it's quite funny because they've come full circle now, and they've gone back to that industrial estate they were at in Lan.
Yeah, good days at the Blaenau base. Good days there. Like, obviously they moved, and the team's gone from strength to strength, and the facilities there is world class. But and I know the whole journey of that gym from start to finish has been great. But I think in particular the time at Blaenau, it was a good facility, albeit a small facility. What they achieved and produced in that setup, like, and I still find it mad with the amount of numbers they had on the mats and stuff, how it all worked out. Like, but no, it was good times there, wasn't it? It was good times at that time. Like, I remember you guys, this is going back now, Tank, Truth, and you had like your junior team, didn't you? He was always training an hour before the adults, like. So there was doing like 3-hour sessions with him, because you do like an hour of hard spar as juniors, and then you do like gi and no gi afterwards.
It was brilliant. Like, look, I wouldn't pick on myself from 10 years ago, because I wouldn't like my chances.
No, you'd have had quite the team if there was a team junior MMA event. You'd have had quite the team if you was entering like a team tournament, like the league table of bouts and stuff. Like, fair play.
It was brilliant, to be fair. It was excellent, and it kind of definitely like played a part in making me the person I am today.
Yeah,
like, especially in giving me just like I never really lacked confidence per se, but like gave me that extra level of confidence, I suppose. And like the adults were fantastic with all of us. Like, we do a junior class, we stay on for the adults class. The adults were great. They just kind of, they gave a bit of a ribbon, except it was one of their own. But yeah, it was brilliant. Great times at the Blaenau gym. I can remember going training out to Matey's birthday, and Chris Edwards and Leon Rosser like tied a belt around my feet.
I remember that.
And hung me from the.
I think I was a member for about a year there, or just over half a year. I do remember that. No, actually, I'd only just joined, and I think I turned up a bit early, and I heard whispering saying I was going to do something, and I was thinking, oh, I don't know who they're on about, and I was thinking, I hope it ain't me or whatever. Next thing you know, there was like H come here, and I remember they done that. I remember that. Now you said, I do remember it, and I was thinking, what the hell's going on?
There's a picture somewhere. There was like there was a boxing ring, and then there was a bar suspended around it in like a square with that side of the bar, and we're dangling like some kind of moth upside down or something.
I can still picture it now. Yeah. I don't need the picture. I can still picture it now.
But no, it was character building. Like, it was great. It was, some of the most enjoyable times, I guess, of those years, like in comp, were spent up that gym. Like, got some great memories up there. It was fantastic.
I agree. Also, I'm a different age too, and I joined the sport at a different time. But that period when I was there consistently at the Blaenau gym, one of the best choices I ever made. Honestly, for so many reasons. Don't have to get too deep, but similar to yourself, Jed. Great times, like, and obviously seeing the team now go strength to strength and build a super team now, and it's just incredible. But I think that period needs like a special mention because they had a core squad of guys fighting on the circuit and they was achieving so much, and then you just knew that the only way was up, really, didn't you?
Yeah, it was for me. I knew that the team were kind of. The team are doing well because you're there and you're watching them and stuff. But like for me, I realized that like it was really taking off when they had to knock through to build the resting room that they moved the boxing ring to. Then they had the cage. That was when I kind of knew that it was all taking off because I was like, they actually need to like build an extension to accommodate everyone who's coming here. And that was when you really realized that like something was really, really about to just kind of happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, just and then obviously it literally, like they must have just said, we need a bigger gym, and then that's what happened, really. And then it ended. The rest is history now. One of the best MMA teams in Europe easily. Do you know what I mean? Like, not just in the UK,
definitely.
One of the strongest teams in Europe. Like,
it's got to be in that conversation. I think the gym they've built together now, Jack and Richard, the short MMA gyms. Yeah, it's great because it's it's what I always imagined one of those kind of big American gyms would be, kind of having everything on site. As a kid growing up in the formative years of the sport, maybe not formative, in the early years of the sport, growing up, you hear about those gyms out in America that have got everything under one roof, and then to have something like that in this country is fantastic. It's phenomenal. Like, it gives athletes around here such an amazing opportunity, and I'm sure that the youngsters coming up won't realise how lucky they are when you listen back to the stories of people who had to train in pub cellars and stuff like that. So
it's scary how like future fighters from our neck of the woods could be, like, because of the facilities that's on hand. Like, obviously it still takes the dedication thing, because that's the one factor they'll never go away, but there is no excuses now for anyone who wants to aspire to go down that road and achieve what the flagship fighters of that club is doing. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's definitely more accessible, which is great, because if you're a top rugby player, then you've got everything you kind of need at your fingertips when you go and join your local rugby club. They teach you how to play rugby, and same with football. If you want to play football and you're a good footballer, you'll have everything at your disposal at your local football club. And then there's a system in place from there whereby you go play for an academy. And they've got all the facilities there and stuff. But there was never that kind of system in place with MMA. But now I feel like as the sport's growing and kind of the coaches are getting a better understanding, but everything's moving with the times. It was a young sport and it's growing now, and that ability to kind of implement change is being seen across the board. And it's the sport. It's a really exciting time for the sport, especially in the UK. I'm going to see some brilliant prospects especially in the generation kind of below us that are coming up. I think we're going to see some real killer athletes coming up.
No, 100%. And as long as they stay they stay dedicated the World's Air Oyster, like, do you know what I mean? The facilities under one roof down the road within the borough they live, plus in this technological age where you can get exposure around the world through platforms like Instagram and YouTube, and as long as you conduct yourself in the right way, of course, and stay dedicated, I mean, the world's your oyster, like. And touching on the coaches thing, I mean, if you look at the IMAF now, I mean, there's fighters who are getting like coaching qualifications, helping juniors, passing on the skills they know, even though they're still fighting, and some of them will probably finish their careers and then go into full-time coaching, and the quality of coaching is just gonna go through the roof as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, not just that. You know, if you're at a blue belt level, or you are a blue belt or something, and you take on a role coaching a kids class or whatever, that's only going to surely improve your jiu-jitsu, because you've not really got to know, not just your jiu-jitsu, your overall game. You've not only have you got to know the techniques to perform them yourself, but you've got to have that deeper understanding of them to be able to break them down. To show them to others, to teach others, to pick up the smaller nuances where people are going wrong. So I think to that end, that's only going to improve younger fighters as well.
This is going back not too long ago, but I remember seeing it online, something that you guys were sharing and IMAF was sharing about getting like MMA recognized as sport. And as I stand at the moment, I think UK sports still don't recognise MMA as a sport or as an amateur sport at the moment.
I don't think it's recognized. I think you're correct in what you're saying, but I could be wrong. But I've got a feeling you're correct in that it's not. It doesn't have like I don't think it has an official like recognised governing body. In the UK, I think. But obviously we've got bodies like you've got IMAF, and then you've got MMA Cymru, and you've got EMMA, which is the English branch. But I'm pretty sure that it doesn't have a governing body within the UK. Which is a terrible shame.
Because if it could join our list of all the other sports with that UK Sport Wales now recognise, it'll be good, because at the end of the day, like BBC and BBC Sport Wales, they're covering MMA great. I mean, the coverage that the boys from the gym going to the UFC and stuff is fantastic. And I mean, you see like that Tank was on BBC Radio 5 Live, do you know what I mean, doing a commentary, do you know what I mean? And that's like, so we need like that recognition across the board. Like, I don't mean that like as a negative dig, but I think that's another thing that will make a huge difference for the future of sport going forward. Is it joining that list of all them other sports on that list? Like,
I don't disagree with you. I think it's as long as we have the right people at the helm. What I mean by that is that kind of, you don't just plonk some government-approved person who has no idea about the sport at the helm. Because there's so many good people in the sport that know what's best for the sport that could come to a sensible decision as a panel. You know, I think that'd be a great way to do it, would be to have really high respect people within the sport kind of on a board. And allow them to make the decisions for the sport. You know, people who've been in the sport a long time, people pioneers, people who've proven themselves to have the correct intentions for the sport. That's what it needs, not somebody who's just like picked by kind of the government or the Department for Sport or something and just plonked in a chair at the top. That would be, to my eyes, that'd be incorrect. I think you need people from the sport involved in the sport to allow it to keep progressing in the way it is.
100%, and I hope it does get recognised too, because it's just because the general public, although the sport's growing, need to know more the benefits that this sport gives and provides to people. Do you see what I mean? I know exercise in general, being involved in a sport does, but I think there is something a bit different and a bit special being in a clubbing environment like the one we was, for just members of the community to be involved with, for their well-being and for character building and stuff. So with it being recognised, I think that's another thing to take it from strength to strength. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah. So obviously, you been involved in sport from a teenager, and obviously, I do remember you was going to the Pain Pit events and the Samurai Fight Night events. As a young kid with the free T-shirt on. Do you know what I mean? Like all access, all areas. So where from there did you think you want to I want to be an MCM, because like you've been involved in the sport in every aspect, almost for me. So you've trained, been a part of a team, you've been involved in sort of production side, even though it might have been laying mats and that all contributes to the overall running of the event. Do you know what I mean? And so where was the light bulb moment where he was like, I want to be an MC? Like,
I don't know if there was like a light bulb moment where I thought, oh, I fancy this. I mean, like you said, I used to go to the events with Richard Shaw, because I used to train at Delay Combat, and yeah, we used to, we were a group of kids, so we used to help set up, and then we used to get to watch the events. Like, what more could you want? Is it, we were between 13 and probably from the ages of between like 13 and 18, really. We used to turn up, set the events up, watch the shows, and that was just awesome. And I'd sit there at the Newport Centre watching the shows. And I watched Ricky Wright doing the MC work in the cage, and I'd say, "Oh, I reckon I could have a go. I reckon I could have a crack at that." And the boys would say, "Oh, shut up! No, you couldn't. Don't be a
I can imagine
Muppet,
the band the boys would have given about that. Yeah, I can just imagine. Man.
Shut up! You couldn't do that." Yeah, and but I say, "Oh, I could have a go. I could have a go." And and then it kind of like I 18, I went off to university, and I was still involved in the sport. Like, I went to watch Jack Shaw box in Swansea. I remember catching the train from Command to Swansea to watch him box, and then having no idea how to get to the train station to get back home. That's another story. But yeah, I was still involved in the sport. Like, I had a phone call off Ricky Wright out of the blue one day. He said there's an event going on internationally. I can't get to it. It's like a grassroots event run by a guy called Matthew Aynan, called ESE Fight Night. Do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, I guess. I suppose so. And that was literally my introduction to it. I did that event. I put on an awful American accent. My legs felt like jelly. The referee was Chris Jones, and I literally walked up to him in the cage, shook his hand. I'm Hywel, nice to meet you. He said, my name's Chris Jones, nice to meet you. I turned around, faced the audience, and said, "Your referee in charge tonight will be Chris Davis," and got his name completely wrong. But yeah, that was my introduction to kind of MCing. After that, Richard said he was doing a show in Aberdeen. It was like a paint pick contender show, so it was like
I remember that show.
Purely amateur show.
I think Dane Morgan was Dane Morgan the main event on that show.
Yeah, Dane Morgan was main event.
Was it defending his like the paint pit amateur belt or something like that? I
think he was either defending it or fighting for it.
Yeah, it was a title fight though, wasn't it? I remember that.
The idea of the show was that these amateur fighters would fight, and then you were trying to find the best amateurs to put on the undercard of the paint pit shows in the Newport Centre, or like to put on the main, or to move to pro and stick them on the main card. And I think that was the idea behind it. But he said, "Look," he said, "come along." He said, "Ricky's going to do the card. You can do a few fights at the start just to get yourself a bit more experience." And obviously, I jumped at the chance. It was only 5-minute drive from my house, so I jumped in the car, drove up there, and did that. And yeah, that was kind of my introduction to it. From there, I worked on the white collar boxing circuit. And that's how I got started, really.
So touching on that, like obviously doing the arbitrary show and that being your hometown, and it being like with an organization you've been involved with, like from a young kid, going to the shows with your friends, and obviously being a part of the gym that the fighters are predominantly featuring on. That must have been a little bit like a little bit special for yourself. Do you know what I mean? Doing an MC show in that town, and also as well because there was a years where the borough wouldn't allow shows in anywhere in Blaen y Gwent as well. So for it, back in the borough as well, do you know what I mean? And in the hometown of you, and everyone else involved, such as Richard, Jack, and that's been a bit special for yourself. Like, even though that was early days and it was a little introduction, do you know what I mean? Looking back, you'll probably smile at that, do you know what I mean? Like,
it's tell you what, it'd be cool to do an event in Aberdeen now, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think Graham would go for it somehow, but it'd be nice. It'd be nice to do a little event in Aberdeen again. But
even if it was another organisation, do you know what I mean? Like, and he goes give you the permission just because it's an Aberdeen, do you know what I mean? Like, or an academy show, do you know what I mean? Like,
the Cage Warriors Academy show turns up in Abervale, doesn't it? So that's awesome.
That's a good.
And they're some of my favourite shows to MC as well. I love the little local shows. They're brilliant. But doing that in Aberdeen was special. Yeah, it was special. Yeah, it's always going to be special when you get to do something in your hometown.
Absolutely.
Because it's nice. You know, it's nice to do something in front of people who are local to the area. I didn't actually consider the point that you made about the council not allowing mixed martial arts for a while. It was a long time. It was a long time. Yeah. So thinking about that, really was something special. I did I think I had some submission grappling fights at the start, and I did.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, I did some of those. It was just good fun. It was like, at the time, it was just good fun. Like I said, I'm a fan of the sport. Like, first and foremost, I am a fan of the sport. Like, if you tell me I can stick a sport on the telly, and I'm not going any further than UFC Fight Pass, or One FC or something like that. Like, I'm always going to watch MMA. So just as a fan of the sport, that was just awesome. It was great fun, and I mean, I was introducing a couple of people who had grappling matches who I'd like grown up with, or grown up watching rather as adults in the class. And that was awesome.
Who was that? Was that Truth, or was that like Owen Parry, Josh Reed?
I'm trying to remember. It wasn't Truth. Never actually MC'd Truth.
That's something that's got to happen before.
It's got to happen. Yeah. Shaky, if you listen to this, make it happen. Let's Cage Warriors Academy Wales, get Truth on the card.
Yeah.
But no, on a serious note, I was I think I did Owen Parry. I did his fight. I got the Josh Reed.
Yeah.
Maybe I had a submission grappling. I'm sure.
Something's telling me he did. We may be wrong, but we'll go back.
Maybe. Yeah. It's a while ago.
But also going back with that call that Ricky did. Shout out to Ricky Wright, by the way. So he obviously must have knew that you was ambitious about it. So was you like telling boys in the gym and like in group chats and that's something you want to do, or was you like talking to Ricky privately about it or personally about it, saying, Rick, this is something I want to get into, and asking him how you do it, like? And then he just said, well, if you want to do it, go straight in the deep end and go to the show, like.
No, I never really made a big song and dance about it outside of kind of saying it to the boys. I'm sure a couple of times I kind of said, I know. I wouldn't mind a go at that. I have a go at that. I certainly wasn't kind of at that point, definitely I wasn't, shouting about it or saying, oh, I really want to do this. Or it's just something that kind of came my way completely unexpectedly. It's just an opportunity I took because I love the sport. I knew I was never gonna, make it to the upper echelons of the sport as a competitor. But I knew that I would like to be involved in some way. Maybe if I hadn't had that call, maybe I'd have considered going down maybe the judging route or something like that. But I love the sport, so just the opportunity to be involved in it was all I needed. But no, I didn't make a big kind of fuss about there were a few people I mentioned it to, and I do an impression of Bruce Buffer now and again if there were a group of us watching the UFC in a house. but I mean that was it. I was just lucky enough to get the call off Ricky and take the opportunity, and I just found something I loved.
So was that boxing event in Llanelli before the Abdulary event?
Yeah, so it was a mixed martial art event in Llanelli, run by Matthew Wynan, and that was the first one I did.
That's the very first one. Oh.
Very first one. Yeah.
Oh, fair play. And then, do you remember when you got the call? Sorry, you dropped something there. Got a call to join the Cage Warriors organization, and what that was like for yourself, like?
Yeah, that was wicked. That phone call was something that'll stay with me for the rest of my life. Yeah, so I was actually out with my girlfriend and her parents eating food. A place in Cardiff called Hangfire, which is amazing. Go check it out.
Yes,
but yeah, I was there having food, and I had a missed call off Shaky off Rich Shaw. I was like, "What is?" I was like, "That's just weird. Why is he ringing me?" And then I had a text off Tank saying, "Ring my dad straight away. It's urgent." And I was like, "Oh, I better ring him." Like, so I rang him, and he said, "Are you free? Like, I think it was Saturday, the 17th of November." And I said, "Yeah." Why? He said, "Because Cage Warriors need an MC for Cage Warriors 99, and they want to know if you would be interested." And obviously I was like, "Yeah, of course, yeah." It wasn't something I expected to wake up and hear. And that was it. And he said, "Look," he said, I'll speak to the team and let you know, or I'll speak to Graham and let you know." And that was it. So I sat there waiting. And they rang me later that evening and said, "Yeah, they want you. You're going up Saturday, 17th to Colchester to Cage Warriors 99." And that was the moment I got a call to do the show as a one-off. And then I had a phone call in February, again off Richard, saying, what did he said something? He said, "Do you know when people say something in a way that makes you think that there's some bad news coming, and then they turn into good news?"
Yeah.
He said something like, "Oh, H, look, I don't like to say this, but you know how Cage Warriors asked you to do the one show? Well, unfortunately, they want to know if you'll do the rest of their events this year." He said it in a way like that. And I was like, you what? What are you on about? He said, "Yeah." He said they want to know if they'll MC your shows, MC the shows for the rest of the year. Of course, I said yes. I snapped his hand off. He said, "Right." He said, "You need to, I'll send you Graham's number. You need to give him a ring, talk through it with him, and go from there." So rang Graham, spoke to him about it, and then I made my way to Liverpool for Cage Warriors 101, and the rest is history, as they say.
Oh, awesome story that is. And what between that event you done, which you thought might have been a one-off, and then getting that call in February, did the work pick up? Was you sort of like, "Oh well, that was a good experience, whatever comes of it comes of it"? Was your confidence like up because you was like, "Christ, I've learned so much from it"? Was it sort of like that, or was you thinking, I hope they call me back again or anything like that? Like,
at the time, I was actually just sat there like that. I was kind of on cloud nine. I was just sat there thinking, right, I've done a televised event for Cage Warriors. That was amazing. Like, I was just sky high. I had a couple of events booked in December with the white collar boxing, so I did those anyway. And then December is usually it's a weird month. Like, the first half's busy, and then the second half, obviously, you've got Christmas, and then events like just nosedive, obviously, January and February. So yeah, it was just a regular year for me, I suppose, or regular end to the year for me. I did the white collar boxing, and then finished for Christmas, and that was it. It was kind of a standard end of the year after that.
Yeah. And then the call comes, and then you got to suddenly ring Graham Boylan, and then you're like, "Right,
yeah,
in this properly now. You got to keep it going." Like,
yeah. It was brilliant.
Yeah. And then the number of events you've done now, crazy. Like, have you got I probably know what the answer's going to be, but have you got a favorite arena and favorite fan atmosphere when you MC? But
the Violas Arena is special, isn't it? The Ice Arena in Cardiff is special, and obviously, look, if you're a Scouser and you're MCing the Echo Arena, that's probably going to be your bag, right? That's going to be your thing. That's going to be what you love. So for me, as a Welshman, getting to MC in the capital city, it's an awesome arena. It's in the round, so you haven't got like a partition curtain. You know, it goes all the way around. You've got fans, 360 degrees. When you get big fights in there, that's cool. I always kind of find it feels like a mini UFC, which is really, really fun. But that's got to be my favorite. I just because I love it. But I mean, there's a good few arenas that generate a good atmosphere. I really like the O2 in London, or Indigo at the O2, I should say. Sorry, in London, that always creates a good atmosphere. The Neptune Stadium in Cork, I've done that once, and that was brilliant. It was a really good atmosphere. And I always used to like the little Newport Centre shows as well. Newport Centre always had a good vibe to it too.
Yeah, I think it'll always be a place in the art for the Newport Centre, like because it's the early days and the rise of sport and all that, and Welsh MMA, and I'll always have and also there are a few grappling events there as well, So yeah, it's an arena that a lot of people who've been involved in the sport from this neck of the woods will have a good memory of. I should have probably changed the question and gone outside of MCing in Cardiff for a Jack Shaw fight. What is second to that? Because I think that is something special.
Now outside of that, the Indigo creates an exceptional atmosphere too. Then the fan, because it's like a race stage, so the fans like if the stage is sure, the fans are literally sure. So they are like on the floor, they are super close, and it does create a very, very intimate atmosphere, and that's really good too.
Is that the arena where Nathaniel Wood and Josh Reed fought at?
That is, I believe, the Nathaniel Wood Josh Reed fight arena. Yeah.
Yeah, because that is that just small enclosed, like everyone on you, like, and when you got a fight like that as well, I mean it's just the roof is going off. Do you know what I mean? Like the roof is going off. Yeah. So yeah, obviously touching on MCing in Cardiff, obviously another special one for yourself must have been MCing Jack Tank Shaw's fight, and it being his last Cage Warriors fight before going to the UFC. Not just in the cage before the fight, but also as the victor. And still, that must have been a special moment for yourself, like.
It was really special. And it's probably is it definitely is the highlight of my MCing career to date, especially on a personal level. And I think it'll take a lot to top that. That was really special. Although I always say that I couldn't fully enjoy it because obviously acting in a professional capacity, I had to make sure that I gave Scott Malone the introduction that he deserved. And obviously it's funny because with my links to Jack, I was probably more focused on giving Scott Malone the kind of the introduction that he deserved as a worthy title challenger than I was in introducing Jack. And the reason I say that is because I knew that introducing Jack would come extremely naturally to me, especially with the arena he was in and all the ties and stuff like that. So as a professional, it was really important to me that I got the flip side of that coin, right? And that I gave Scott all the respect and credit that he deserved. Like I said, as a completely worthy title challenger. He was 6-1 at the time. He deserved to be in that position and to share the cage with Jack. So he thoroughly deserved a strong introduction. And the first thing I did after the event was, when I got home, was watch myself introduce Scott to make sure that I did him justice. Because, like I said, as a professional, that was important for me. And I believe I did. And I was happy with the way that went down.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I also noticed as well, like, are you fluent in Welsh, or did you? Because like I remember in one event in Cardiff, you were speaking a bit of Welsh, and you were
tipping back.
And to be fair, you nailed it. That must have been something out of all the things to take practice. That must have been something you had to make sure you was on point with, like, because the Welsh language. So fair play for that. I mean, that must have been something out of all the names and events thing. That must have been something that was you had to make sure you was on point for. Do you know what I mean? Making sure you got the language down to a T and it was all fluid and everything like that.
Yeah. Language is something that I try my hardest to get right. Because my biggest bugbear when I watch these boys compete in the UFC is when I hear fighting out of Abertillery, Wales. Yeah. And I'm just sat there like it's Abertillery. Abertillery.
Yeah.
Like it's, and that's my biggest bugbear. So I try, and I know that I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. I know that I pronounce Elgin as Eglin up in Scotland. So I know I'm not perfect, but I as a Celt, I try my best to get all the place names and all the pronunciations of other languages as correct as I can, because I know that nothing annoys me more than when someone kind of, when it's looked over.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you remember the first title fight that you done?
I think it was James Webb with the middleweight title at Cage Warriors 102 or 103. One of them.
So, well, for like a title fight, obviously, I know at main events and every event beforehand, you wipe it up. But when it's the main event and it is for a belt, and it was the first time announcing the title fight, I imagine you must think like, right, I really gotta like not nail this from what you're saying, but bring the energy. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you try and build it. You try and build it through the event. And for me, like that being the first world title I'd ever done. You just be like, whoa, like you got to pinch yourself a little bit. Like I'm about to do a world title fight. That is insane. Like that's like wow. Like I'm just a kid from Aberdeen. How am I stood here about to do a world title fight in mixed martial arts? That's mad. But yeah, you try and bring the energy as much as you can. You've also, don't forget, you've got the fans there, and especially those early events, like when the fans are kind of excited for it, you're excited for it. You kind of reach that I feel anyway, that you reach that next level. And yeah, it's kind of it's like a natural process. It's almost like a flow, like a flowy state. Like you start kind of somewhere in the middle, and you kind of, your aim is to, I guess, kind of finish on this big kind of crescendo, and create this massive, like.
Is there a moment in your title fights when like you've announced and anew and you've seen that person become champion, and you sort of, even though every time it's special for someone when you say and anew, is there one that sort of stands out, sort of similar to, say, I don't know, let's think of a recent one, like when Rose Namajunas become champion, and you've seen like that emotion of them becoming champion, and how big it was. Has there been a time when you've announced someone as champion where it's been special for atmosphere or with their reaction to becoming champion or anything like that?
I think every title fight is special, especially when someone claims a world title and becomes a new world champion.
Yeah.
That's special for everyone. Like the emotion and the elation coursing through the athlete is huge. And it would be unfair of me to pick one person for that, because I've seen so many people just overcome with like emotion, happiness, elation through getting it. You can't pinpoint just one. Everybody wants to be a world champion. Everyone sets out in this sport to be, nobody sets out in the sport thinking, oh yeah, I fancy, it's a dream of mine to fight on the undercard at my local leisure centre. People want to do it. But their dream is got to be like to fight for these big promotions, for world titles. That's what they want. As humans, you want to, and as a competitor, surely you want to prove yourself as being the best of the best. So when you get there, kind of, it'd be unfair for me to pick one moment or one person, because so many people have sacrificed so much to get there, and are so deserving of it.
Absolutely. When you put it like that, can't argue with that whatsoever. So two more now before we go, H. So obviously prior to when the pandemic was there any locations that you knew about that wasn't announced yet, that the Cage Warriors promotion was going to, that you was excited to, that you're looking forward to ticking them boxes, or is that something that you're not aware of? Was there like events that you knew that was coming, and then obviously had to take a back step where it was at an arena or location that you was excited to go to? Or
I'm trying to think. They'd announced. I know we were meant to be going to Belfast, which was going to be cool. That was that was announced, the Belfast one. That was like made public and all that. But obviously that got called off because of COVID. It was I think we were literally meant to be going in like the March, and then obviously lockdown happened. I'm trying to think. I don't think there were many. I'm excited to go to every Cage Warriors event, right? If I tell you the truth, I'm buzzing. I'm buzzing when I get there. Fighters get fight week feels, like so do MCs. I get that fight week feeling, and I'm buzzing to go. I can't wait, and it's absolutely insane. But I can't, no way it stands out at the moment. I think all the locations we were going to were relatively known territories at the time. I believe territories we've been to before. I'm sure you had like Liverpool's and Cardiff's and stuff lined up. But yeah, obviously then COVID hit, and it was all taken away from us in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. Any locations that in the future you want to tick off and visit, or would you just want to do as many territories as possible? Is there somewhere that you'd love, a next city or country you'd love to go to?
Las Vegas, obviously.
Yeah,
fight capital of the world.
Fight capital of the world. Yeah.
Love to do a show in Vegas. Love to do a show in the States anyway, because it's America. And it would be amazing just to get the opportunity to go out there and MC over there. If you're asking like on a personal level, it'd be cool to do a show in Japan. I'm not sure how well they understand English out there, but like Japan's a really cool fighting country. Yeah. So like Brazil, like
the atmosphere in Brazil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like Brazil, what they did chant as well.
They'd be up there. They'd be cool. Anyway, I got a passport. I'll travel.
You want to get the same? You want to get the same flight miles as Ricky? You want to get up to him
I'll travel the world telling people how tall they are and how heavy they are before they punch someone in the face. That's fine by me, But
there's worse jobs to have, but let me tell you.
I think America is definitely on the list. I'd love to tick that off. Yeah. If it was all possible, that'd be cool.
Yeah. One event, a combat sport event, whether it's boxing, MMA, I'd love to see happen would be at the new camp, Barcelona's football stadium, because the stadium itself, plus with fans on that pitch, that's a special arena, especially with how high and how tall that is, and that's one of them arenas we don't mind being at the gods. That is somewhere where, even if it was like an heavyweight championship boxing match or any sort of combat sport event, I think that'd be something for me personally. I'd love to witness.
I mean, look, if we're speaking of sports arenas and absolute pipe dreams, I would love to do the Principality Stadium with the roof closed. That would be insane.
Yeah. Well, I would say, can you imagine it with the roof open? Would it be a dry day as well? Because I know when AJ Klitschko at Wembley, they had the roof open for that, and you just like the helicopter bird's eye view of all the flashing lights. And that, do you know what I mean? But in Cardiff, do you know what I mean? Just from the train station, and that's an obvious one, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Going there, Principality Stadium, and I think it's closer than we think, because Lewis Smith, as we know, shout out. I remember he was at the Q&A once, and he asked, do they think MMA would come to Millennium Stadium? And I remember Bisping said his fight with Henderson, he had a choice between Manchester or the UFC, rolling the dice and go into the Principality as a potential thing. So, and obviously he chose Manchester. He just become champion.
He's a Manchester boy.
Yeah. But that just shows, if they're having that type of conversation back then, how much closer it is to something like that happening. And I think it's sooner than we think.
I don't think it's out the realms of possibility. Where you've got Jack Shaw, Corey McKenna, Mason Jones, all in the UFC. Jack Marshman, UFC. So yeah, that's four Welsh people already. The UFC, I think, give it a few years, wait for a few more boys, maybe like your Oban Elliott, and so on and so forth, finding their way into the UFC. The UFC could definitely put a card on in Cardiff.
Absolutely.
Be it a numbered card or a fight night. Tickets would fly off the shelf.
Yeah, I think it would go absolutely nuts. And Cardiff, the day of before going into the night when the gates open, I think that would be. I don't think they know what they'd be getting into, because I think it'd be quite the atmosphere. Like, and
it'd be good, yeah. I think it'd be akin to a match day in in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it'd be good. I mean, look, if they put a UFC on in Scotland, I'd travel up there to go and watch the UFC. So I'm sure there's plenty of Scots that if a UFC was put on Cardiff, they think, I'll travel down to go watch the UFC. So I don't think they'd have an issue. We're not a big, when you look at the size of like America and stuff, we're not a big country, and every part of the UK is pretty accessible from wherever you are, either by car, plane or train. So in that sense, I honestly think wherever the UFC put an event on in the UK, people would come to watch it. I don't think it's too much of a logistic nightmare to get fighters there, because you may have to have one central flight into Heathrow, and then
there's a new hotel just gone by the Principality as well. There's a new hotel just gone by there as well, so that could be the fighter base. Do you know what I mean? Like, you see it all the time in all these major cities. Hotels just literally looking out the window across the road from the arena. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, maybe getting them from, even though it is 100 yards away, getting them from that hotel to the arena with all them people on the streets of Cardiff going nuts might be the only nightmare. Like, whatever. Nah,
well,
only 2 minutes.
You've got the Vale. With the WRU stay, they could stay at the Vale and bus them in.
Nice and peaceful there. So yeah. Final one, because I'm very, very, very grateful for your time. Is
that's fine.
So your slogan, tell us what it is, how you come up with it.
So my slogan is "Let's throw some leather," and I came up with it because I was just trying to think of something, and it'd been a process, like an ongoing process, for a few years. I was just trying to. I came up with some, some people sick in the shower. I stand there trying to work out some kind of pre-main event slogan that I could say. I tried like "Let's get ready to roll," or like "Let's throw some hands." So many stupid variations.
If you was an MC for a grappling thing, that wouldn't be too bad. Like, "Let's get ready to roll." Like, if he was on the grappling circuit, Polaris, "Let's get ready to roll."
but I thought of all these different things, and I was trying different things, and some absolutely absurd and stupid ideas came out of my mouth just because I was trying to get something to stick. And then I'm sure that my dad came up with "Let's throw some leather." He'll certainly take full credit for it, but I am pretty convinced that he came up with it. He said, "The gloves are made of leather. Let's throw some leather." And I thought, yeah, gloves are made of leather. Let's throw some leather. Every fight starts on its feet. I've yet to see an MMA fight where zero punches were actually, that's a lie. I did see a fight where zero punches were thrown the other week, but with the nasty leg breaks, that's now a lie. But all fights start standing. Generally, people throw a few punches. Even if you go into the ground, generally you've got to create an opening for that takedown. So usually you'll throw some form of combination. So yeah, that's what it came about, really.
The only time you'd have to sort of mix it up is if he was doing a bare knuckle event, because obviously, you might have to get a slogan in the backed up for that, just in case you.
Let's throw some skin.
Yeah, let's throw some skin, or let's crack some knuckles. I don't know, crack some skulls, anything like that. Get creative with
that, wouldn't we? Yeah, have to revamp it.
Yeah. So, are you okay on the spot doing a "Let's throw some leather" for us, for the listeners? Are you okay to do that?
Yeah, I can do a "Let's throw some leather." Yeah. let's roll some leather.
Die out, bud, die out. Right, H,
About.
thank you for the time. Anyway,
Thank you for having me.
If they want to follow you, and you never know, they might need you to not just announce in combat sports, but I'm sure as an MC you could do functions or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Where
I can do functions.
I can do get extra quid or whatever. Where can they find you, but
yeah, I can do whatever you want me to do. I can do functions. I can do the lot. You can find me on social media at Hywel Hywel Chaplin Chaplin MC. So that's all socials. That's Twitter, Facebook, all the socials, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Twitter, as well. TikTok. What do you take me for? No, I'm not on TikTok yet. I haven't got the coordination. I haven't got the coordination for TikTok, mate. I'm telling you, I've got two left feet. As anyone who's seen me football will testify.
I know you could do something with your different will testify too. You know what I mean? So click fingers. You could do something like that. You know what I mean? And get creative with it.
Yeah, all the socials at Hywel Chaplin MC. That's where you'll find me. Right.
H, thank you for your time today, and thank you for anyone who's took the time to listen to this podcast. Yeah. For more podcasts, you can also find us at all socials at You're at Last Pod. Don't forget the hashtag You're at Last Pod. H, thank you very much. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers, Rob. All the best. Toronto.